It's really hard to make videos talking about something. But I'm gonna try to talk about consciousness. And I just want to invite you to hang out with me, and we both just sit down and just look at experience and explore. I don't have an idea of what I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna explore a topic of consciousness and what it is, and try to get to the bottom of what consciousness is. Does that make sense? So it's an exploration. It's a conversation. We're having a conversation. No one's here to teach anybody anything. So yeah. So consciousness. What is consciousness? That's what we're trying to find out. So we have form. We see forms, patterns, right? With our six senses. We have the eyes, nose, the tongue, the ears, touch, and our thoughts. We perceive our thoughts, right? That's one of the things we can sense within our experiences, thoughts. So when we have forms, right? So you see a form, and that form, it gives you a certain feeling. It's either pleasant, it's unpleasant, maybe it's neutral, right? And that gives us a feeling like that form is separate from the rest, because it gives us a different feeling. Different forms gives us different feelings. So then perception comes in, as in we perceive that as something because it gives us a certain feeling. We have a perception of it. And then we have a thought. Then there's thoughts, mental formations. So we call it, this is a rock. I see a rock. That's a thought. Or we have like an emotion. This rock makes me happy. It's nicely shaped. Or we make a choice how I'm gonna grab the rock, right, and throw it. So some thoughts arise, and then the thoughts are known, and this certain way, and they create a distinction. A me that sees something, and we call that seeing of something, me seeing something, we say I'm conscious, right? I'm conscious of what I'm seeing. There is consciousness of what's being seen, right? And yeah, can you see how consciousness then arises due to these things? As in, the mind creates a seer and what's seen, and we call that consciousness, right? So there's a something that sees, something that's conscious of something else that it's conscious of, and that we call consciousness. And now I'm gonna ask, is consciousness real, right? Because all experience really is just what's seen. And the one looking is a thought. The idea of someone seeing is a thought. There is only seeing, sensing. That's all experience is, just sensations, thoughts, feelings, forms, perceptions, memory. And the thought I see creates someone who sees, and that someone who sees is conscious, and that's consciousness. The distinction of an entity, a center of perception, of seeing, that sees something other than itself. But if we look at the experience closely, what's seen is the seeing. So the feeling of something, the seeing of something, and I often use the feeling of pain, is the pain itself. So our feeling of pain is the pain. Our knowing of the rock is the form we see, the sensations we feel when we grab it, the sounds it makes when it hits the surface of the water, the light shining off it. It's just sensations. The mind calls it a rock, separates it from the rest, and creates someone who sees, because our bodies are just part of the experience, is another sensation. If you close your eyes, you feel your body. So consciousness only appears when name and form appears, and there's someone who names these forms and sees them and perceives them. And without this process, it's just personless, impersonal knowing of experience that is made up of the experience itself, so like a self-knowing experience. And consciousness requires something to be conscious of, but if there's only experience, no separate consciousness of the experience, but the knowing of experience is the experience, which, if you look closely, that's what it is. I'm not coming to a conclusion, I'm trying to point again. Look at your experience right now and see that it's just an impersonal sensation. Even a thought I see is just another thing within the experience. The person watching the thing that's conscious cannot be separated from the experience. Therefore, consciousness only arises as a temporary experience within the experience, not as some separately existing center of consciousness. And if we look that all these distinctions are merely thoughts made up by the mind due to the senses perceiving, and even the senses themselves are another part of the experience we feel, like I feel my eyes, for example, and ears, then if it's all just experience, right? Because we can boil all these things down to just being an experience, consciousness, senses, what's seen, the seer. If it's all one experience, then there's no ultimately existing consciousness. It's just an appearance due to thought separating the seeing from the seen. When there's just the seen and the seeing is what's seen. Like, there's no separate seeing apart from what's seen. When you hear a sound, there is only sound. There is no hearer of sounds. The hearer is imagined within thought, is another thought, because thoughts can only reference thoughts. The thought of a thinker is just another thought. And thoughts are being thought by themselves. So yeah. Again, I don't know what consciousness is. I don't think I've come to any conclusions. We just explored a little bit together. And yeah, that's it. See you in another video. Bye.